Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is Kathy LaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. Hey guys, today is Tuesday, October 29th, and the energies in the day adds up and reduce to number 2 vibration. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. When it comes to the spirit guidance, we have the whale energy. I guess earlier in the week, the shark came out and I accidentally said the whale, and now the whale is here. And the whale energy for me is so fitting with the number 2 energy because the whale brings me to the water element, and the energies in the day adding up and reducing to number 2 vibration brings me to the moon, and the moon ties into the water. So when it comes to today's energy, big introspective energy, nurturing energy, feminine energy. Mars is the ruler of the day, and Mars is in Cancer at 28 degrees. It is a part of a grand water trine between Mercury in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces. But it's a part of a grand water trine, and it's also a part of a T-square. And the T-square is between the sun in Scorpio and Pluto in Capricorn. So lots going on when it comes to Mars energy, which is the ruler of the day. And Mars energy deals with our motivation. Mars is a warrior. Mars is a fighter. Mars is the ruler of Scorpio and Aries. And with Mars in Cancer, Cancer energy is so secretive, private, and hidden. And Mars energy is the warrior, like the warrior doesn't hide. And in Cancer, Mars has to hide because Cancer is not about like being so obvious. It's not about being so obvious and not about being out there. So with Mars in Cancer, while Mars has been in Cancer, a lot of us might have felt like our will, our motivation. Yes, there's big emphasis on your home and family, where maybe say while Mars was in Cancer, and it's been in Cancer now for a little bit, but with Mars in Cancer, you may have noticed big emphasis on your relationship with your mother. Maybe things has gotten better where that's concerned. Or for some, maybe it's gotten worse, but there's an emphasis with with your mother. If you say the mother of your children type of energy, or just big emphasis on your home and your living situation with Mars in Cancer, that's been a focus. And with Mars, though, being a part of this T-square between Sun in Scorpio and Pluto in Capricorn, so Mars energy in Cancer at 28 degrees, again, we're motivated by home and family and Cancer-like things that are hidden, things that are in the closet, keeping things on the low type of vibe. And that's squaring Sun in Scorpio. When I think of the Sun energy, it brings me to our identity, who we identify as. And Scorpio and Cancer are very similar. But the issue is the degrees where the sun is in Scorpio is conflicting to the degree where Mars is in Cancer, where Mars has been in Cancer long enough to have a lot of experience where Cancer is concerned. The sun has been in Scorpio not that long to learn all of Scorpio's ways. So where the sun is in relations to Mars, Scorpio needs to catch up. The sun in Scorpio needs to catch up based on learning Scorpio's ways. So with the sun only at 6 degrees, it's squaring Mars at 28 degrees in Cancer, because the sun energy deals with our identity, and in Scorpio we identify as being private and secretive and whatnot, but at the early degrees we don't know the extent and the depth and the reason to be this way. So it's challenged by Mars being so deep into Cancer, and Mars learning all of Cancer's ways. Mars in Cancer is opposing Pluto at 29 degrees in Capricorn. And with that opposition, it brings me to challenges pertaining to things that are happening at work and things that are happening at home, and feeling the need to choose. It brings me to the thought of, someone experiencing upheavals at work and upheavals at home. A thought that comes to mind is like, say someone's going through major changes at their job, but they're also stressed out at home, or something's happening with their mortgage or their rent, or even issues with their partner. But it's like in both places, it just seems like there's so much going on, and it's like being pulled in both directions. Or what I get from both of them is with Mars and Cancer. Mars and Cancer is motivated by like laying low. And with Pluto transforming Capricorn, it brings me to the thought of someone having to step up and become the authority in their own world and take over their situation when it comes to how they're getting paid and the money they make. And to do that, they will have to step out of the closet, step out of the dark as far as Cancer energy is concerned. And it brings me to coming to a common ground. And the common ground has to do with what is it that a person fears, why they're hiding. Because with Cancer energy, to me, Cancer energy deals with fear of being exposed. And it's like being exposed of what exactly. And the reason why I say that is because I think of the hermit crab, and how the hermit crab covers its body with the shell and spends its whole life going in and out of different shells, finding shells to properly protect its delicate body from the harsh ray of the sun. And the harsh ray of the sun brings me to other people's egos and the danger of other people disagreeing with you. So, Cancer likes to just lay low and avoid dealing with that. Lay low and avoid dealing with that, because it could be dangerous when people don't see things the way you do. But with the opposition with Pluto and Capricorn, Mars and Cancer brings me to not allowing fears to control our lives and figuring out a way to bring both those energies together. It brings me to the thought of someone having an at-home business. It's like challenges are coming up in someone's work and they decide to have an at-home business, or not necessarily an at-home business, but having their own business where they're targeting and working with the kind of people that fits them, where they could be themselves. I imagine when I look at the T-square between the sun and Scorpio, Pluto and Capricorn, and Mars and Cancer, I imagine someone having to go to an environment every day and be around people and pretend that they're a certain way when they're absolutely nothing like that. Today's energy, though, brings me to, first of all, the moon is in Libra. And with the moon energy in Libra, the moon in Libra brings me to a lot of, say, straddling the fence about you in relations to whatever, like whatever's coming up today. It could be in relations to your partner, your peers. It just with moon in Libra, and then today's energy adding up, reducing to number 2 vibration. The number 2, like Libra energy, deals with partnership. And partnership is important because the Creator blesses us through others. But then sometimes when we're paired up with the wrong people, or we entertain the wrong connections, this is where our partnerships or the people we associate ourselves with can hold us back big time. So when it comes to the moon and Libra energy today, it brings me to big emphasis on someone weighing out the pros and the cons pertaining to certain connections, pertaining to them in relations to other people. And my issue when the moon goes into Libra a lot of the times is that we put the needs of others over ourselves, and sometimes not even realize that we're doing that. And then instead we'll feel like, well, this person is so self-centered, or this person is so selfish, or this person is such a user, and this, that, and the next. And it's like, that's because, you know, you showed up and say, hey, use me. And maybe in your mind, because you're a considerate person, you're assuming for them to just know better when they're just going with your flow. So I feel like when it comes to the moon here, we have to learn to assert proper boundaries. The moon, though, in Libra is a part of a trine, a grand trine between Uranus and Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees. What I like about Libra being a relationship oriented energy, creating a grand trine between Pluto and Uranus, is there's major changes happening when it comes to our careers, the way we make money and take care of ourselves and the ones we love. And then also major changes happening as far as our financial system, education system, food system, all of the tangible systems that govern our physical world. When it comes to the upheavals and transformations happening within everything that I mentioned with Moon in Libra, this is where we come together with others. It brings me to collaborating with others to create your own world. So I think of how much it's a blessing that certain things are happening, even though they're terrifying because the unknown is scary. But with Moon and Libra energy and the energies in the day adding up and reducing to number 2 energy that is connected to the moon, the number 2 also dealing with connections, today ruled by Cancer. Today ruled by Mars. Mars is in Cancer. More moon energy, family energy, relationship energy, connection energy. It just brings me to the thought of connecting with other like-minded people. So certain things might come up today and you might find yourself wondering, how am I going to make this happen? But just know you're not the only one with that same concern, or you're not the only one that wants to solve that problem. Like I think of like the parents wanting to homeschool and how they can come together with other like-minded parents and create an online community because social media just does that. And it just works. Or I think of like, say with the grand trine, I think of what I just mentioned about the schooling thing. And then I think of Pluto and Capricorn, and I think of like, say a person that's already a teacher, and they're already a teacher, but they don't like working for the systems that they're working for because they don't feel like they don't agree with the curriculum that they're teaching. And instead I could see this person creating their own business by coming together with other like-minded parents who would like to come together and create their own curriculum to homeschool, and then this teacher doing her own thing. It just brings me to people going through things when it comes to how they provide for their families, but realizing that you can connect with other people, put your resources together and create something even better than what you thought was being taken from you. Realizing that it was actually a blessing that this thing was taken away, because now it forces you to be innovative and create something that really makes a difference. Today's the 29th, and with today being the 29th, the number 2 is nurturing, the number 9 is humanity. So that it's like something about today's energy brings me to coming together. There's a big coming together vibe, but it also could be super emotional day. It could also be an emotional day with Mars and Cancer. Even if that was the case, I feel like people hiding those emotions. But today's the 29th, and 2 plus 9 is the number 11. So there could be some turbulent aspect to the day, but the 29 and 2 plus 9 adding up to the number 11 brings me to the thought of being creative, expressive, meaning you look around at your situation and all these great ideas come to you. But similar to yesterday's energy, they come to you, but there's a fear on execution. And you might look around and realize that there's a lot of others who are actually in your shoes. And from looking at all the people you could serve or help with what it is that you know, or these great ideas you're coming up with, instead of allowing fear to get the best of you, you push past that because it becomes bigger than you and your fear. And instead it's about serving and making a difference for others. So I just feel like for someone here, yes, there's some issues or concern around your work, but there's something that you know how to do. There's something that you offer. There's something that you know how to do and something that you offer that could make a big difference. That could make a big difference, and you can create your own way of living just by sitting down and really mapping out what it is that you know. When it comes to the tarot, we have the Fool card in the reversal position. And I feel like the Fool card in the reversal position is what I was saying earlier about there's this fear. You know, in the reversal position, there's this fear to trust. There's this fear to trust. So, but I feel like, you know, even if there is that fear to trust, just the awareness of something alone is enough. Like, everything doesn't happen overnight. So an example would be the person is having issues when it comes to paying bills or fearful at work about being fired or whatnot. And then something clicks for them that, wow, I actually know how to do this. And there are people that would benefit from knowing what I know. And then deciding, oh my goodness, I can teach people this. I could make other people's lives better by them learning this thing that I know. And that thought comes to mind, but then there's another thought like, who do I think I am? And that fearful thought comes over with the Fool in the reversal position, and a person, like, you know, shocks themselves back into getting in line because just the thought of taking a risk is scary. It's like, in the moment you don't have to take a chance, but for the simple fact that that thought came into your mind and you entertained it, it will be back and it will haunt you into taking action and setting yourself free. So it's all good. Everything, you know, everything doesn't happen overnight. But what does stand out to me about today's energy is this emphasis on wanting to connect with others and seeing how the major changes that are happening in the world are beneficial. And as long as we are a team or learn how to work in a team where those things are concerned, they're not that bad. The idea that comes to mind with the changes that are happening in the world is, imagine a person being a part of, so the best idea that comes to mind is when I was before I was renting a chair in this salon when I was in LA. I was a commission stylist where every time I would do a client, I would have to give over a bigger percentage to the salon. And I remember I remember going hard and making up my mind that, like, I'm going to build up enough clients for booth rent. And I started posting on Instagram daily. And whenever I didn't have a client in the salon, I'm walking through the malls and I'm handing out my flyers. I'm handing out my cards. Like, I'm not wasting a second. And I remember a month later, like, I'm booked up and busy. Like, I'm booked up and I'm busy. And the commission now that the salon is getting from me is like the price of 2 booth rents. It's a lot. And the issue though is with commission, the commission is good because you're not obligated every month to have to pay a rent no matter what. Where when you're on booth rent, even if you have no clients, you still have to pay a rent. It's like having to pay a rent for your home. Where with commission, if you don't get any clients, you don't owe anything. But if you get a lot of clients, you gotta pay up. So I remember getting to the point where it's like I consistently got a clientele. It would feel like they came from out of nowhere. But I remember, months leading up, the hard work, the sweat, the tears, and all of that when it came to promoting myself. And it's interesting because when you're doing what you're doing, someone will always come in to let you know, like, you're on the right path. What I mean by that is, I remember when I started with the hashtags on Instagram, like, I would post pictures daily and I would put hashtags. And I remember this one client that I got, she was like a dancer. She was a dancer and she was visiting from another state. and she came and she got a shortcut done. And when she got done, she said, I found you on Instagram. Those hashtags really work. I didn't ask her anything about the hashtags, but it's like she said that to me as if she was answering the question that I was asking, like, is this even working? Because for some time I was posting and doing hashtags and everything, and I wasn't seeing anything, but I was just getting up and doing it anyways. Like, just getting up, and it's like the stories that I'll tell about the bamboo tree and how for years you could water this plant in the ground and nothing happens, and then all of a sudden, after years of watering this plant consistently, you know, within the space of months, it'll shoot hundreds of feet up in the air. And that's what happened for me when it came to the clientele in LA. Like, it started off, I built up at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. I was in the salon there. And it started off with, like, you know, weeks of nothing happening. And then all of a sudden, you know, this girl gets her hair done and she's like, oh, I found you. She was in from Chicago. She was a dancer and she was dancing in Cali at the time, from Chicago. And she was like, I found you on Instagram. Those hashtags really work. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I felt like, you know, God told her to tell me, like, you're good. Keep doing it. Kept doing it. Clientele blew up. I'm paying 2 months booth rent, just about most, 2 months booth rent most weeks, because it's weekly, you pay your booth rent. So I'm paying two weeks booth rent, not months, 2 weeks booth rent some weeks, because I'm just busy. So at this point now, I want to go to booth rent. I want to go to booth rent. I don't want to be on commission anymore. But at the same time, the vibe in the shop was very sketchy, in the sense that I knew that if I asked to go to booth rent, because I could tell that the owner was having a hard time making ends meet every month, so they were really benefiting on me paying two booth rents in a week with the client, with how busy I was, and I was really fast too. So I'm busy and I'm fast, book busy fast. So I was nervous about telling them that I want to go on booth rent, because now instead of getting 2 weeks rent from me, they're only going to be getting one. And I'm just nervous about the bad vibe that I'm going to get because of it. Something happened where they try to be shady, and somebody tried to be shady and try to scam me of some money. And it was something that was happening with others. They try to be shady, try to scam me of some money. And of course, like, I didn't play about it. Like, I don't play about my money. Like, I don't play about people money. I don't play about my money. And I remember going to whoever and had an attitude, and my tone and vibe and everything was like, yeah, I think you're trying to scam me. Like, that was just my whole energy. And the accountant, who wasn't in the shop, I guess tried to punk me by saying, well, you know, like, apologize. The owner gave me my money right away. They didn't even play with me. Where with other people, I noticed they would try to go back and forth with them, but I don't play with people, so people most of the time don't play with me. So the owner gave me my money back. The accountant was like, oh, tell her she could go on booth rent if she want, blah, 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 whatever. I think that was their way trying to take attention away from themselves, because most of the girls wouldn't want to go on booth rent after busy weeks, because you're gonna owe this money every month. And instead of me asking to go on booth rent, I wanted it, and then the perfect situation happened that created that opportunity for me. So I feel like when it comes to the energies in today, it's like wanting an out, but just wait. The proper opportunity will present itself for you to create that out. Where I was happy that they pushed me, like, not pushed me, but they threw the bait about going on booth rent, and I jumped on it. They didn't expect me to do that, because the owner was so angry when he found out that's what happened. But I'm glad it wasn't me, because for me, the environment felt very unprofessional and immature. And I knew if I was the one who asked, the vibe was going to be funny. But since I was the one since it seemed like it was they were the one in charge of it, it was just perfect. It was perfect. To me, it's like being in a situation where you're dealing with people who are power hungry and manipulative, And it's better when things seem like it's their idea. Because if it seems like it's your idea, then you're going to have problems if you're going to remain within the environment with them. You're around certain people who are insecure. You know you do great work. You're confident at what you do. For me, in certain environments, I feel like sometimes you got to play like you don't know you're that good. And in that environment, I mean, my work always spoke for itself. I never bragged or whatnot. My work spoke for itself. But I just knew if I was to ask to go on booth rent, it was going to be a vibe. And I didn't want to deal with that vibe because as an empath, being so sensitive to energy, like I would have felt all of it and I didn't want to deal with that. So when they messed up on their end and threw the option my way, assuming that I wouldn't take it because I saw it happen with 2 other girls. They had good weeks. They suggested it to them. They didn't take it. Where with the girls who had good weeks, they had good weeks, but they didn't consistently make that. So if they put them on booth rent, then they could guarantee, expect a certain amount every month guaranteed. Where on commission, they can't expect that. So they threw that my way, thinking that I would shut it down, and I took it and the owner was angry. But to me, that was the best way for it to go. And I feel like when it comes to today's energy, something similar where it's like an opportunity presents itself to you and a way out will be provided for you. And you don't even have to initiate the way out. You only have to make up your mind that you want something better. You want something more. And just from you making up your mind that you want something better, you want something more, a way will present itself for you. And you just have to step out. You just got to be the full energy and walk out on faith when that way presents itself. Because when it was presented to me, I stepped out on it. Like I didn't even look back. I just trust that the last few weeks of me being booked and busy wasn't just a fluke, and the universe was going to continue to provide. And the universe continued to provide. And then weeks later, when the universe, I had a dream, and in the dream someone came to me and said the shop is closed. They closing, right? That's what the person said in my dream. And I gave them my 2 weeks notice the next day, waking up from that dream, and moved my clients from Baldwin Hills, Crenshaw up to West Hollywood where I was living. And the universe kept on providing. There was never a week where I had to go into my pocket to pay my booth rent. And for me, that was just a sign that I was on the right path. So when it comes to today's energy for you, some inspiration gonna come in. You're gonna see a way out when it comes to something. But of course, when you see a way out, fear, false evidence appearing to be real might dominate your thoughts, but you can't let it. But just getting a glimpse of a way out is enough for now, as different things are going to transpire as time goes on. And when the door opens, you just got to make sure you walk through. Hey guys, I want to share with you 7 benefits of getting a numerology natal chart awareness coaching session. The first one is understanding your internal programming. The second one is becoming more clear about your purpose and passion. The third is setting goals for success. The fourth is awareness of strength and areas of improvement. And the fourth one was foundational for me because whenever you're aware of your weaknesses, no one can use them against you. And when you're aware of your strengths, that makes you unstoppable. And that is why I say self-awareness is a superpower. The fifth benefit is removing obstacles. We first have to become aware of a thing in order to remove it in the first place. The sixth benefit is understanding relationship dynamics. We don't have to change the people in our lives. We have to become aware of ourselves and start from there, and everything changes. And the seventh benefit is upcoming transits, if that's something that you would like to look into because you're planning for something or you just want to be aware. So if you're interested in booking a numerology natal chart awareness Artist coaching session or learning more about it, the link to book or the link to send me an email for questions are both within the description box below. If you'd like to check out my Patreon where I share exclusive content, the link to check out what's happening on Patreon is in the description box below. It was a pleasure sharing this message with you. Please let me know you're here with me by dropping me an orange heart in the comment box below. I would love to hear from you and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.